All right, without further ado, it's talking season, so there's a lot of discussion of the coming year and getting probably mostly we overreact to everything that's said, but it speaks to our passion and love of the sport of football. I think this town is an elite football town, and we're finally getting rewarded with a team that is worthy of Super Bowl discussion. Get to the mountaintop is always the goal, and it should be. Do these guys got a shot? Yeah, they got a shot. They have some challenges for sure, and you certainly hope that their chances of winning a Super Bowl are only going to get better because they still have a pretty damn young team, right? I mean, there's a lot of youth here, and there's a chance that this could be run for a while. But some things have changed, some dynamics have changed. We'll get into it in a minute. Here's one player though who everybody loves, his running mate at that position. But when the topic came up of the coming season, here is what David Montgomery said. Okay, it's because everybody loves Jahmyr Gibbs. Everybody loves Jahmyr Gibbs. And I get it. Huge things are expected of Jahmyr Gibbs. Huge things are predicted for Jahmyr Gibbs. They still have David Montgomery. And if I were in David Montgomery's shoes, he's not forgotten. Detroit, I think, loves David Montgomery. But he does not get the hype that Jahmyr Gibbs gets. And I'm not mad at anybody about this. Hell, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is worthy of the hype. And he's just starting his career, and Montgomery's been here for a while. I was a massive Montgomery fan out of Iowa State and hated that he went to an in-division rival and was thrilled when the Lions acquired him. But we just talked about depth. It's a great thing that the Lions have at that position is those two. But is there any Lion, and 248-539-9797, that you think is getting slept on here a little bit? Like David Montgomery feels like he's getting slept on a little bit. The people have forgotten that he's here. And, we see the dynamic as to why, right? It's not about David Montgomery as much as it is about people thinking that Jahmyr Gibbs is a rocket ship that is just getting ready to explode and become one of those transcendent elite backs in the NFL. But is there another Lion that you think is kind of being slept on? Think this guy is better or deserves more hype or is getting overlooked, however you would put it? 248-539-9797. Kang, you got a guy other than David Montgomery?
Before this week, I might have said Marcus Davenport, but then his comments about him being the guy opposite Hutch kind of made me take a step back on that because when healthy, and he was only healthy, for a couple games last year, he made an impact. He really did. I mean, he's a bigger, different type of end than Hutch, but he can hold the run and keep the edge and also get to the quarterback. The problem is, obviously, we all know this by now, that he just can't stay healthy long enough. So that guy, I feel like a guy that was forgotten because he was gone really early was Marcus Davenport. I could see where, by the way, Montgomery's coming from him being disrespected in a certain extent because Jahmyr, when he was the lead back last year after Monty went down, I mean, he blew the roof off off the building, and with his speed, his playmaking ability, his home run hitting style of running. He can also catch the ball, of course. If you follow fantasy football at all, I mean, he's going to be one of the top players taken this year, and it's because they think the ceiling is so high for him that people do forget that if Montgomery is healthy, he's going to get his share as well. Now, the question is, how much of that share will he get now that we've seen what Jahmyr Gibbs can do?
I think my answer is a little bit weird, but I think people got way too down on this guy way too fast. I actually think Detroit kind of sleeps a little bit on how good Terrion Arnold is going to be. And I'm sure there are people right now going, what? He had a very concentrated stretch of poor play at the beginning of the year where he got the bulk of the flags. I think you talk about the most people complained about the penalties. It was all in the first like 6-7 weeks. And, I actually was on vacation. Got talking to a Lions guy, and he's like, yeah, I'm not a fan of Terry Arnold. And I'm like, I said, why? Well, all the penalties. I'm like, they were all at the beginning of the year. Look it up. They were all, not all of them. There was, I think, the regular season, there was one defensive holding on him, and that came on special teams and one PI in the second half of the season. And, he's in the right position to make plays. There's a measure of turning his head at the right time. Might seem like a weird answer, but I kind of feel like Detroit's sleeping on how good Terron Arnold's going to be. And how tough it is to play that position. And relatively speaking, it was a pretty damn good rookie year, in my opinion.
Experience can do a lot for cornerbacks. And I remember Shepard even saying, the defensive coordinator, Calvin Shepard, saying, there's a lot of meat left in that bone. Mm-hmm. People just don't realize it yet.
Yep.
Because he's got to have the experience now, and he's got the ability. They definitely trust him.
Yeah.
He played so many snaps last year, too, for a rookie.
He did, and, they've got – I guess if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world because, we talk about depth. Between Arnold, DJ Reed, Amik Robertson, Ennis Rakestraw, they also Avonte Maddox, they brought in him. He's been a player in this league. I'm pretty high in the corner position. I think they've done a really good job of getting talented players. And that DJ Reed signing, to me, was a big deal because it feels like an upgrade. I'm not sure it's getting treated like an upgrade. I mean, look, maybe it's just because offensive players get so much more hype than defensive players, typically, unless you're an edge rusher. But I don't know, man. I just think the corner position's in a good spot. Now, maybe many people in Detroit are, I'll believe it when I see it because last year defensively, they weren't really good. I mean, they got it. And it wasn't all injuries that led to the struggles, but I'm a little bit higher on the secondary. And the thing about the secondary is you get into a situation where the pass rush gets so much attention, but that's all about pass defense. And if you can't get what you want in terms of elevating the edge rusher opposite of Hutch, either you can't afford it, the trade wasn't there, the free agent you wanted didn't sign with you, whatever the case may be, you can still improve the pass defense by being better in coverage. You give Josh Pascal one more beat or two to get home, maybe he can provide a few more sacks. I mean, that's if you're better in the secondary than you were a year ago, and I think there's a likelihood that they will be, and you're in a good spot. You're in a good spot with your pass defense because those guys that are a beat slow getting home in the pass rush, they get home. 248-539-9797. All right, so who is it for you? David Montgomery says he feels like a bit of a forgotten man, and he's not using that to prove anybody wrong. He just wants to prove himself right. Who do you think is the forgotten man for the Detroit Lions? Is it Montgomery? Do you think it's him? Do you think, I went with Terron Arnold, which, look, people can take it for what it's worth. Kang, you went with Marcus. You said you were going to go with Marcus Davenport. You thought the comments were a little strange. I don't want to read too much into those. Me
neither. I think that maybe he has difficulty in trying to express what he wants from the media and from the fans. Just like, hey, don't worry about me. I'm going to take care of myself, as long as I'm healthy.
It didn't come out that way.
No, it didn't at all.
He might have meant that.
He literally said, don't look at me. So yeah. Like, well, kind of looking at you. You're the guy who's starting opposite Hutch. But I think he's being slept on is how much he can contribute to this team if he stays healthy. Now, that's a capital I, capital F, if he can stay healthy. He has had a hard time doing that, the last few years here, of course. But I think I'm putting a lot of trust in Brett Holmes and Dan Campbell. They've already let me down with Levi Onwuzurike, but they're not going to bat 1,000, right? And so if they're right on Davenport, they brought him back for a reason. He's got tremendous size. You've seen him up close and personal. He can set that edge and be the guy. You can't. No one's going to be Hutch. I mean, there's like 5 or 6 elite defensive ends in this league. You need someone to be a complement to Hutch, and I think he can be that if he's healthy. But I just hope his mindset is right.
248-539-9797. It's Karsch and Anderson. Who is the most slept on Detroit Lion? It's a forgotten man. We'll get to your phone calls and feedback next. Training camp underway. Pads go on tomorrow. They're acting like pads are already on. Dan Campbell's telling everybody, mellow out. 97-1, the ticket.